Get ready with me while I tell you the time I found out my best friend wants to date my ex. Get ready with me, anonymous story time. Just for back context, my ex and I will give him the name Andrew. Andrew and I dated for 10 years and we have been broken up for 1 year now. We're also gonna give my best friend the name Amanda. When I was dating my ex Andrew, my best friend Amanda, my ex Andrew, and I were all part of the same friend group. And whenever him and I broke up, that is when apparently Amanda and Andrew got closer. From what I am aware and was told, my best friend and my ex have not acted on anything without telling me. I do want to mention that I am in a new relationship and I have been with this new partner for 3 months now. I remember it was a day in the week where I received a text message from my best friend Amanda. In the text message, she basically told me that she wanted to hang out and there was something that she needed to talk to me about. Honestly, I didn't think much of it. A couple of days later, my best friend and I ended up grabbing some sushi. We ended up chatting, and in that conversation, she basically told me that her and my ex were interested in each other and wanted to date. I was hurt. I had no words. What? I don't know about you, but the moment my best friend or any friend in general talks to a guy, he is off limits. I am not talking to him. There's no reason that I should be talking to someone that one of my friends spoke to. That's just me though. That's just me. So when my best friend basically told me that her and my best friend wanted to date and they were interested in each other, I didn't respond to her. I feel like I had so many questions, but at that moment, I kind of just stood quiet because I didn't want to say anything out of pocket. Honestly, I just wanted to gather my feelings because how really am I supposed to react? Obviously, no one's gonna like you dating their ex, especially your best friend, the person I literally vented to. What? I ended up stepping away from that conversation for a brief moment because I just wanted to gather my thoughts and process everything that she just told me. The last thing I expected was for my ex and my best friend to be interested in one another. Of course I didn't like it. Who would like their best friend dating their ex? Like, be for real. Yes, I'm in a new relationship. I'm over my ex, but it's more about the principle of it. You know, that person is off limits in my opinion. Once I gathered my feelings and was able to process everything, I basically told my best friend how I feel like this is a betrayal. Personally, this has nothing to do with my ex. This person can move on. I don't care what this person does. Of course, I really have no say in her decision. She's gonna do whatever she wants, but it's just more of the fact that if she dates my ex, to me, I don't feel a betrayal on her and because she's my best friend. And of course, she doesn't owe me an explanation. My ex doesn't owe me an explanation, but she's my best friend. It almost seemed as if my best friend did not care about my feelings and what I had to say. It got to the point where I feel like I couldn't trust her anymore. My best friend responded very careless, and it's almost as if she didn't care about my feelings or what I had to say about the entire situation. Therefore, I took it upon myself, although it hurt so much because she was my best friend for years. I ended up cutting her off because if she didn't care what I had to say and my feelings, then I feel like I honestly don't need a person like that in my life. I'm curious to know if I was in the wrong for cutting her off, and what would you do if you were in my shoes? Do you believe it was valid of me to remove my best friend out of my life, or do you feel like I was being dramatic?
I told my best friend that her fiance was cheating on her and she did not believe me. Disclaimer, this is my story. I was 20 years old. I moved to LA. I was trying to make friends as quickly as possible. Good friends, not backstabbers. At my new job, I met this girl and she was kind of similar to me, but she was the type of person that trusted everybody. Right away, she started trusting me. She was just really kind. Started hanging out outside of work. And it was really nice because she liked to cook and so did I. She would come over to my place and we would make some food and just watch movies. After a couple of weeks, I met her fiance and I hated him right away. All he did was stare at me. What do you do when you meet your bestie's fiance and all he does is stare at you? It's disgusting. At first I thought he was kind of joking, but then I realized he was being super serious. He was trying to make cute eyes at me. So after that, I would never look him straight in the eye. I knew that's what he wanted, so I just wouldn't do it. That's when I started being really vigilant. I started noticing every single little red flag about him. One day, my bestie invites me over to a barbecue at her place, and after a couple of hours, I wanted to leave. Everyone at this point had had so many drinks. I was the only person that was sober. I go into her bedroom, and I find her with her sister. Part 2 is up. I told my best friend that her fiance was cheating on her and she did not believe me. Disclaimer, this is my story time. I walk into their bedroom and I see her fiance with my best friend's sister. What I actually saw was just him kissing her neck. But why is your fiance kissing your sister's neck? And as soon as they saw me, they freaked. They jumped up really quick. He ran out of the bedroom and then he just stared at me, like he always does, just staring. I ran to my bestie and I told her everything. By the way, everyone at this point had had so many drinks. I was actually the only sober person at this party. What happened next was a nightmare. My bestie turns to me and tells me to leave the party. She told me that I was just jealous of her relationship, that I was projecting on her. She throws my purse at me and I leave. I cried so much, I was mortified. She was so desperate to make her relationship work. Okay, by the way, her sister actually lived with them at the time. This girl had no money and no job. My best friend supported her in every single way possible. Her and I obviously didn't speak after that until 6 months later. She calls me on the phone in tears. Then she tells me she finds out her sister is pregnant. Her fiance is leaving her for her sister, and they are kicking her out of her apartment, the one she paid half for. I remember this because he actually followed me on Instagram 2 days ago. Should I be petty? Healthcare sister out.
Did y'all hear the story the lady told on here? Where she said she always wished that she had brothers and sisters because she grew up as an only child. But she knew she was loved, but she just really wanted to have some nieces and nephews. But fast forward, she gets older. She has her own kids. Her parents pass away. And out of the blue, somebody she know connects her with somebody from her past that's an older person. And the older person got on the phone with her and said, you know, I remember you, and don't let nobody tell you that your parents didn't love you, because I remember they loved you. I remember the day they adopted you. She was like, I'm adopted? At the time, she's 34 years old, just learning that she's adopted, right? So she's like freaking out a little bit because she did not know any different. Like her whole family absolutely adored her. Like everybody was always doting on her. She was the love of everybody's life. So she was sitting around like, everybody lied to me. So she went to her family and asked them, why didn't y'all tell me I was adopted? And they were just like, don't worry about it. You know, you family. So she decided, you know, after a while that she's going to look for her birth mother. So she started calling around to all these different agencies, and she finally found one that said that they was going to help her. So a few months after she originally called them, they called her back and said, guess what? I just spoke to your birth mother. And she was like, what did she say? And they said, well, I can't give you her whole name, but I can tell you her first name. Her first name is Jay. She has 4 daughters and 1 son. And she said when she was younger, she used to get into some trouble, but she turned her life around and she became a pastor. So she's doing well now. She says she wants a picture of you. She asked me to send her a picture of you, so I wanted to get your permission to do that. And the girl was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. So she hangs up and she sits down and she thinks about her friend. She called her friend, girl, you will not believe what happened. And this friend happens to be a worker at the daycare that her kids go to, because her kids been at the daycare for 5 or 6 years. So she called the worker and was telling her the whole story because they had become close friends. And she said, you know what? And she told me that my birth mother, that they talked to my birth mother, and my birth mother had 4 daughters and 1 son, just like you. And she told me that she used to get into some trouble when she was younger, and then she became a pastor. That's just like you too. And she said, and guess what? Guess what? Y'all got the same name, same first name. And the lady on the phone was like, well, it's real. It's real. And she was like, I know it's real. What you talking about? I know it's real. I just talked to them. It's real. I'm going to meet my birth mother. And the lady was like, it's real. And she was like, what are you talking about? And she said, I'm your mother. What?